Hi and welcome to another episode of the Barbarella Method. Today's sequence is going to be based on the belt. The belt is one of my favorite props to use. It gives you a lot of resistance. It allows you more control than a resistance band. I prefer it. I like using the tension. So what I do is I just adapt the exercises that I do anyway, and I use the belt on top. It just makes it more entertaining. So to start, just do your first stretches. As you see, I like to stretch one leg and just put my arms over my head and just really lengthen the psoas muscle at the front of your body. Move your head in circles a little bit. Just mobilize anything that feels like it needs a bit of a shake. And I spent quite a few minutes doing that. You can see I am sitting, crossing my legs so that I'm stretching my bum muscles, and I'm going to start stretching my shoulders. This is going to be very heavy on the rotator cuffs and the shoulder area. I really want there to be a lot of chest opening. Chest openers with the belt are really good. So I'm just stretching, lengthening my arms as much as I can and bringing the belt with tension to the back of my body and to the front. It's easy enough, but you will feel, especially since it's the first exercise that we're doing, you will really feel the opening on your shoulder, and be as gentle with this as you need. My shoulders are really stiff, so I need to do this a lot, and I need to start really gently. And at the beginning, I almost couldn't do this at all. So start really slow and then see how you go. Nothing should be hurting. If anything is bothering you, just go slower or open your arms more. You're trying to gain space, basically, in your rotator cuff. Now I'm just showing you another angle, and I'm going to do another series of these. Now, in this time, we're going to go to the left and to the right. As you go to the center, you bring your arms up, and as you twist to the left and to the right, you bring your arms down. Again, you are pulling your hands from one another, grabbing onto that belt with strength. That's the key in all of these exercises, to really pull away from your body with your limbs. Keep that tension, keep that resistance. Next, we are going to make the belt a little bit smaller, and I'm going to show you a really good back opener. It's another area that we never use that much and that we never know how to exercise, or we're scared of it. So I bring the belt the size of my shoulder width, and I go into downward dog like that. I just put the belt in between my hands and I shuffle backwards and forwards, really stretching the back of your legs. Think about engaging your core. Your core is what is going to bring you up and down. It's what's going to move you. So the movement starts with your core. The middle of your back is engaged. Your core is engaged. Your hips are pulling you backwards, and you're really, really stretching. You need to feel the stretch on the sides of your body as you keep the tension in between your elbows. So there is a pull. You're pulling away with your elbows towards the sides. You're trying to open, and the belt is restricting you, but you need to keep the belt's tension. So that's how the belt is more useful to me than an elastic band. Now I'm just doing a little dolphin, so elbows, forearms on the floor, and this is really great for opening your back. But as I said before, be careful. If this is not something you do, this is quite an intense exercise. And it's also a fantastic one for your hamstrings. And try to always keep your neck long, so don't collapse it either backwards or forward. And now I'm going into a plank. The trick with plank is just push. Keep your elbows and shoulders right above your wrists. And I'll just do a little stretch. I like doing this kind of stretch with my legs really open, because I feel like it stretches my abductors as well. Child's pose. And now just slowly bring yourself up, circle with your neck, any little movements that you need to be doing. And lie on your back and start doing a soft bridge with your knees bent, feet on the floor. I like to do a couple of these bridges. This is still kind of part of my warm-up, so you've just left your belt to the side, but as soon as you want, you can hold your belt, fold it a little bit, shoulder width, and we're going to use it. Keep your core engaged this whole time and pull the top of your ribs in. That's the best parts that you need to be in control of. And now with the belt in tension above your chest, keep doing these bridges up and down, just lifting vertebra by vertebra, everything from your pelvis. You're doing a pelvis tilt. Really important that you release the pelvis in every sequence of bridge, and that you feel each one of your abs going up and down. Your core is engaged, you're keeping the tension, you're pulling kind of away with your belt. And now you stay in bridge right at the top and you move your arms straight, lengthened, backwards towards your ears and forwards towards the ceiling. And you just keep doing this movement very smoothly, absolute control. Your body, as much as you can make it a straight line from your knees to your neck. The neck is supported by the floor and it's relaxed. Your shoulders are relaxed. This movement is coming from your scapulas. And now we're going to do a little up and down with your hips. Just use your bottom. Keep your arms static above you and you're just engaging your bottom to bring your hips up and down. Lift and push. And when you come down, you're pushing with your pelvis to the floor. This is an easy one if you want to, build your bum muscle. But the tricky thing about this is not to go any more backwards than you already are. So keep your position. Keep the position of your knees above ankles. So for that, you need to be really stable on your feet. And sometimes what I do is I move my hands a little bit towards my head. Just open them a little bit more. It gives me more challenge with stability. And just breathe out, exhale. And now we're just going to get ready for our roll up using your belt. So in all of these exercises, all you're using your belt for is to keep that tension, to keep your shoulders engaged, pulling to the sides, which is going to give you a lot of space between your shoulder blades. So try to keep your legs lengthened on the floor. I know I'm not a great example of this. And you're doing the classic roll up while holding your belt above your head. So you are just placing every vertebra on the floor and then pulling your ribs in, engaging your abs and lifting and stretching your hamstrings as you go forward with your arms towards your feet. You're thinking of going forward, not to be in any particular position. You're trying to get the length. You're not trying to reach any particular place. Just keep stretching forward as far as you can go while keeping your pelvis, your bum bones on the floor, pressing against the floor. So keep that really stable while you breathe in and you exhale as you come up and pull with your arms away, trying to reach even beyond your feet. That's what you need to aim for, is just reach forward. Now I'm just going to roll like a ball a little bit, backwards and forwards. Curve your spine inwards. Keep your neck relaxed as much as you can and neutral. Roll like a ball a few times. Use your core for stabilization when you get there. And now we're going to start what would be the standard Pilates sequence, but I'm going to use my belt for it. So I really like just pop your feet, one of your feet, your right foot, inside your belt. Use your arms to pull away from it and really stretch the hamstrings. And we're going to start the circles sequence to one side. So you're going to keep your pelvis completely stable. I like to lay my left hand on my left hip just to check that nothing is moving from side to side. Doesn't matter how big you go on the circle, you just need to keep stability. That's what you're trying to do. And mobilization. You're not trying to go far, you're trying to mobilize your hip and keep your body stable, your top torso relaxed. Change the direction of the circle, the rotation to the opposite side here, and just keep pulling from your hip socket outside as if you wanted to detach your leg from the hip socket while keeping your pelvis pushing against the floor, really heavy and completely balanced on both sides. Your left leg has the foot resting on the floor. And now I'm extending the left leg, and this is just going to increase the stretch on your hamstring. But I want you to really keep the tension with the belt. That's the whole purpose. And I feel like this really helps me to use the right set of muscles and to understand that this is a mobilization and that you're not trying to go very far with the circle. You're not trying to make the circle very wide. You're just trying to use the right set of muscles, which is in your hip socket, and you're trying to stretch the hamstrings, which in turn is going to give you a lot of strength. The whole time your ribs need to be held in, pushing against the floor. We're gonna change legs, same thing. Popping your left foot inside the belt, just push against it, and with your arm you pull away from it, so you're getting this fantastic stretch. Your right foot is resting on the floor and you're keeping your hand somewhere near your hip just to be sure that everything is completely stable and static and relaxed other than what you're moving. And even the pulling action that you're doing with your arm is coming from your scapula. You're not trying to use your shoulders, your neck, your trapezium is relaxed. And now circles to the other side, and then after that we will stretch the right leg, rest it on the floor, and continue the circles. Another set of 8 to one side. Remember, ribs pulled in, neck relaxed, you're facing the ceiling. Don't compress your chin. And circles to the other side. Keep the tension. The belt makes it a bit trickier than an elastic band because you have to keep exactly the exact level of tension to keep the belt there. Now you're just going to release everything, change legs again, and do a little flex of the knee. So you're just flexing and straightening that knee. We'll do one knee and then the other. You can stretch, flex. You can also flex and point the feet. Sometimes I do that at the same time. And really try to find an angle that's challenging enough, but that you can maintain this posture in. The posture meaning the ribs against the floor and the pelvis balanced, pushing against the floor without lifting your bum, without going from one side to the other. Now we're just doing a static, active stretch, which means that you're pulling and pushing at the same time. And this is really what gives you space. And now you're going to start lowering this knee towards your right. So the whole leg is lowering towards the floor on your right side, kind of a 90 degrees angle if you can. And here the method is to try to make space on your hip socket still. And now you pull it up and go to the other side, towards your left side. Still you're really pushing, pulling with your arm. Relax your neck, pull your ribs in, core is engaged. And just breathe deeply and exhale, and imagine that with each exhalation you're just dispelling all of that hard, dense negative energy. Now you're doing the same thing with the other leg. Just go to your left leg and flex the knee and extend towards the ceiling. Pull away from your hip socket towards the ceiling while you're keeping that attached with the force of the belt. Push from the arch of your foot, and if you want you can do a little flex and point. You're just going to inhale and exhale a few times until you feel the release. I don't really count reps, I try to feel, because for example my left side of the body is much tighter. I have a huge hamstring situation there. So now I'm extending that leg towards the left, just as far as you can go to keep the intention the same, which is the tension in your inside leg, in your adductors, and the strength that you're using to keep your body stable without moving, without leaning to the left at all. The pelvis is completely neutral this whole time, and now you're bringing the leg up and towards the right. Leg, knee is completely straight. Try to relax your quadriceps in all of these movements. So really imagine that you're controlling the move from the bottom, from your hip socket. Relax, tap yourself in the quad one moment, and if that is compressed, just relax it. You will gain so much more movement. It was a revelation when I understood that I didn't have to try to engage my whole leg. Our quads generally are so overdeveloped, you really don't need that bulk there. Keep your legs stretched out, and we're going to do a roll-up series. So just hold your belt between your hands, shoulder width, and we're going to start by curling under. Engage your abs, pull in your ribs, especially your top ribs, and start curling under and backwards. So imagine you're trying to lay your lower ribs on the floor, and this is a very small movement, but you have to have all of your abs engaged. Very important that you keep your neck relaxed, your head straight, looking forward, and that there's tension in your belts. That's the whole purpose of having the belts there. You're pulling with your arms outwards as if you were wanting to stretch the length of this belt. And this is just going to keep your whole body engaged. When you're pulling outwards, you're actually pulling from your back. So you're not really using your shoulders so much. It's a scapula movement, and you're using the muscles in between your scapula. This is why this is a chest opener as well. Now we're going to keep doing the curl under movement, but we're going to stretch our arms towards the ceiling as we lift our body up to vertical. So we curl under, reach forward, and as you come up, reach up with your arms, straighten your arms, pulling from your shoulder sockets and using your back muscles. Again, be very ruthless about this move. You need to be using your back, and you need to be really pulling this belt. Helps keeps the stability actually, and just make sure that the whole length of your foot is on the floor. Try to make it relaxed. Relax your quads, relax your legs. Your strength is in your core. That's what you're using to move up and to curl under. So just finish the last of your curl ups. Sit up straight with your knees bent. And next, we're going to prepare to do the twist. So you just start curling under again and twist to one side as you pull one arm down, one arm up, making the belt kind of vertical, and you're really pulling this belt like before, keeping the tension and keeping yourself at an angle, lifting from the ground. So you should feel your core completely engaged, and this is actually a really intense exercise for your obliques, for your abs. Stability, don't move your pelvis is facing forward, your legs are relaxed. You're just using your core to start this movement where you're twisting from side to side. You can remain horizontal with your arms. I just like to twist them in this V shape while I go from one side to the other. I find it more fun, to be honest. And then you can stop at one side and do a little pulsing action if you want. I usually try to do 30 of these if I can, depends on the day. And then doing the same thing on the other side. Just pulse up, you're pulling with your top arm. Then bring both of your arms to the front without moving your core. Your core is super engaged and curled under. And lift your right leg off the floor while keeping everything the same. And start pulling towards the ceiling with your arms, keeping the tension, keeping your neck relaxed, facing forward, keeping your abs completely engaged to keep the stability. You're not going from side to side, you're just in the center with your right knee above the ground. And now you're going to do the same thing with your left knee, just a few of these. Keep your angle, so you're curling inward slightly and moving with your scapulas, the belt towards the ceiling, and just really stretching as you go up. Your scapulas, your shoulders, keeping stability with your core, keeping that one leg off the ground. And now we're going to do the same thing with both legs off the ground if you can. This is really hard for me. So both feet off the ground, keeping your body in this kind of V shape, while you either keep static or, as I'm doing, move your arms towards the ceiling in this same movement, arms in a V shape. Now rest both of your feet on the ground, and we're gonna do a little stretch, just a change position. I don't like being in the same position for too long. So I'm sitting on my bum with my legs open in a V shape. The belt is behind me, I'm pulling away from it. You can put your arms in whatever angle you need so that it doesn't hurt, but that it still opens your chest and that you can feel your back muscles working. So you're pulling that belt, kind of trying to stretch it as you pull your arms up and down. You lift them and you lower them with your back muscles. Imagine that your legs are actually relaxed, they're just stretching. We're just doing two things at the same time here. And a few of those just to shake things up, and then go to downward dog. Move your legs, move anything you need, and feel how your chest is now so much more open. There's so much more space on your back, on your shoulder girdle. Everything about your upper body is spacious and strong and stable. That stability is what really you're gaining by learning how to engage the muscles in your back. That's what you're looking for. Go on to plank for a few seconds, and then towards a soft child's pose, just circle around. And I want you to lie on your back, release your spine on the floor, and we're gonna get ready to start some leg pulls. So just start by pulling your left knee up to your chest while keeping your neck up. Do the same thing with the other leg, and this is just to stretch your psoas muscle, the front part of your leg. Really stretch away when the leg lengthens, and really pull the knee in when you pull it towards your forehead. And now just pop your feet, one of your feet, into the belt, the right one. Keep that one exactly where it is, pointing to the ceiling, And with the other leg, just lower it down while pulling away from your hip socket. Keep the balance. This is a stability exercise. Keep your abs engaged, ribs in. The chest is pulling forward as you're pulling from the leg. And you can change slightly the angle of the leg that's pulling towards the ceiling, although I tend to prefer it to be in a right angle. Now change legs. Don't forget to breathe with each movement. And one of the legs is lowering down towards the floor, hovering from the floor, so it doesn't ever really rest on the floor. And the other leg is pulling towards the ceiling. And your pelvis this whole time is heavy, pushing on the floor. You can release your neck at any point if you need to. But just remember to not stop engaging your abs. Now you're going to fit both of your feet inside the belt. For that, make the hoops smaller. Push towards the ceiling. Push them away from each other, so it should be small enough that you have the belt in tension and you can keep it up between your feet. And start the corkscrew. Using your abs, the strength of your abs, start circling to one side and to the other alternatively, while keeping your ribs in, the pelvis completely stable. Very important that it doesn't lean to side, doesn't move to side. In this next exercise, we're going to roll up with our feet. So keep the belt where it is, across both of your feet, holding them together. And while keeping the tension on the belt, you're going to start lifting vertebra by vertebra your back from the floor as your legs and feet pull up and away over your head, kind of reaching a plow position. And then vertebra by vertebra, you lay down each bone on the mat until your feet reach the ground. Your legs are completely straight, lengthened. This is an exercise that you must do with a lot of control and pulling your abs in, pulling your ribs in. And just keep going very slowly with a lot of control, legs completely straight, reaching towards the ceiling and backwards. Your arms are relaxed, shoulder relaxed, neck relaxed. You're facing upwards. You're not really compressing your neck in any way, upwards or downwards. Just think about the movement that's coming from your inner abs, that's pulling your legs up and away, and all the time keep the tension with the belt, which is just going to add that little bit of challenge. Rest your feet on the floor as you finish, and we're going to sit up, straighten your spine towards the ceiling. Your legs are lengthened in front of you in a V position, so opened as much as your mat. Hold your belt really stretched out, so you can stretch out your arms as much as possible towards the sides while holding the belt, kind of in a V position. And then twist from one side and to the other. With the edge of one hand, you press on the edge of the opposite foot as you twist to one side and to the other, using the strength of your abs to do this twisting motion. And the whole time trying to stretch your body, your torso, up and away. Don't compress anything. Now bring your legs together and you do something similar. You stretch your arms as much as possible, like in a cross shape, and you pulse 3 times to one side, twisting to the left, and then 3 times to the other side, twisting to the right. Make sure your belt is in tension the whole time. You're pulling away as if trying to make it longer between your arms. Remember to breathe, exhale as you do the twisting to one side and to the other. Keep your legs fully lengthened on the floor, pelvis pushing against the floor, your upper body completely vertical, straight towards the ceiling as you twist and compress your organs, which brings a lot of oxygen and new blood to them. Next, we're going to do an exercise that I find quite fun, that I discovered the other day. We're going to make the belt as long as we need so we can pull it behind our head and up to the point of 1 foot. So kind of the length of your leg. And we're going to use that to keep our head resting on the belt, which is actually a really nice release. Don't be scared of this, just make sure that the belt is holding your head safely. And then you pull your leg, your feet away from you very slowly. Make sure, hold your head with your hands while you do this, just to make sure you know where you are. But this is a really great one to stretch. It's a really great one for stability. And it feels very relaxing on the whole top of your body. So just experiment with it a little bit, putting your belt in different places behind your head and stretching your legs towards the ceiling. So now what we're gonna do is we're going to leave one leg inside the belt, stretching towards the ceiling, and we're going to release the other leg and we're going to make it hover to the ground. So we're going to move it outside of the belt and lift it in the air and hover it down to the ground. As you lift and you lower, you're keeping your pelvis completely stable. The top of your body is completely relaxed. Your arms, if you feel safe now, they can be on the floor on the sides of your body, or you can keep them behind your head just to have some security blanket there. Or you can even rest them on the ground behind you. That's actually a really nice chest opener. So just play around how you get most benefit from your arm position and focus on keeping your ribs in and using your abs. Engage your abs to keep your body centered, stable, still, as the leg that's stretched out of the belt lifts and lowers almost to the ground. Not quite touching the ground, you don't need to. Certainly don't rest it. You can also rest your hands on your hips to make sure that the pelvis is stable. And I like how this keeps my focus, because I'm focusing obviously on not dropping my head. And the belt makes it even more challenging to my stability because it doesn't have any give. So I quite like staying in this exercise a few repetitions until I feel like it's released, because it's a very new sensation on your back, on your shoulders, keeping your neck relaxed, which we're not used to in this position. Focusing the upper leg that's facing the ceiling inside the belt, it's keeping really lengthened. Your pelvis is really heavy on the ground, really pushing against your ground. And your quads are relaxed. So don't try to engage the muscles in your leg here. Just use it as movement. And you're just using your leg as leverage, really, to work your abs. We're now going to change legs. Just carefully leave your head where it is. Release the other leg, lower it to the floor. Make sure the position of your head is to your liking. Hold it for a moment if you need to. And start lifting and lowering that leg as much as you can, while keeping your pelvis really heavy on the floor, while stretching that leg away from you. Imagine somebody's pulling you. From each leg, you're being pulled. There shouldn't be much of an engagement, much of a compression in the leg. It should be coming the movement from the hip joint, and the strength is in your abs to keep you stable. On the legs, what we are achieving here is a really great stretch. Your hands can be on your temples. You can rest your forearm on the ground if you can, behind you. Relax your neck. Keep your neck neutral, which means your gaze is to the front, wherever your front lies. And just keep lowering, lifting. Exhale as you lift. Inhale as you lower. And this movement is to be done consistently with control. You will feel a really great chest opening here. Remember, keep your ribs in, pushing against the floor. The whole of your upper torso, lower back should be pushing towards the floor, or neutral if that's easier for your back, for your spine. And just another few of these. These should be really comfortable. You should be feeling the tension, but you should have it under control. Now to come out of this move, just carefully remove the belt from beneath your head, remove it from your feet, move around your hip if you need to, do a little bridge if you need to, shake your legs up and place it again on your left foot and just move it around. Use the belt to move around the whole of your leg. Just leave your leg dead and just move it around with the use of your arm. So there's no force on your leg, you're just using the belt to move it. You're leaving it completely limp. And the other leg, same thing. This is just a release because we've had it in tension so much time. And you know, I'm all for tension, but you need to be aware that where there has been tension, there needs to be release. So you can't have your body compressed and in tension the whole time. You need to release without even an active stretch, just kind of let it go. Now I like to go on to downward dog after this, just to shake things up, let my blood rise to my head. Stretch everything. More and more after these exercises, you're going to feel the opening on your chest, on your shoulders. It should not hurt. Walk your feet towards your hands for a bigger stretch. Put your belt if you want. I'm trying to incorporate the belt in every exercise just to show you examples. You don't have to, but I'm putting my belt underneath my feet, the soles of my feet, and pulling it towards me for a really big stretch. Remember, this is kind of causing tension on your shoulders and your back, so you don't have to do this. It's just an experiment. And then once you've breathed a few times, in and out, and you feel like you've obtained that release, that stretch that you needed, that your body needed to move in that direction, then you can release everything. And straighten your body up, come up, and sit down on the floor once again, knees bent. This next move is going to be hip lifts with the belt. So place both of your knees, feet, legs through the belt. Leave the belt at about knee height. Then the belt and your knees are hip width, and you're going to lift and lower your hips from that position. So just make sure that the length of the belt is exactly, the loop of the belt that's holding your legs together is exactly hip width, so that there's tension, so that you can try to pull your knees apart, but the belt is of course preventing you from doing that. And now you're lifting and lowering the hips, and for that you're using the strength of your glutes and the strength of your abs, which are contracted and the ribs are pushed in. Your pelvis is neutral and it pushes down as you come down. The movement is a continuous movement. There's no impulse, there's no potential. You just go up and down continuously, smoothly, with control. This is a really great one for your butt. and the tension helps to use all of your body. Remember, the top of your body is relaxed, your arms are relaxed, you can do anything with them. They're just limp. You can rest them on the front, the back of your head. I quite like doing a chest opening here. So I leave them at the back of my head and just continue this slow, controlled movement. The knees should be right over your ankles. Pelvis in neutral, sole of the feet completely resting on the floor. Whole of your body stable. The only movement is happening on your hips. Stay upwards for a few counts and then stretch your right leg and lay it back down. Stretch your left leg, back down. Right leg, back down. Just inhale and exhale one time. This is not a very comfortable exercise, it's just a stability exercise. So we're lifting one leg and the other and then just coming down, releasing the belt from your knees. Shake your body a little bit. And we're going to get ready for our side series. So just, if you need to stretch forward like I am doing, just leave your knees, feet like an open book and stretch forward. This is stretching the inside of your leg, your adductors. Do any movement that you need to do before looping one of your feet, your right feet, into the belt, laying down on your left side, propping yourself up with your left elbow and keeping your knees and legs at an angle, so they're a little bit in front of you. You're not completely straight. And we're going to start by doing a lifting and lowering of our leg. The reason why I like to use the belt for this exercise, we're starting to lift and lower the leg in circles clockwise. And the reason why I like to do this is because keeping the tension of the belt allows you to do this exercise really effectively, because it doesn't let you forget about the muscles that you're trying to use. It requires you to pull your leg away from the hip socket, which often we forget to do. Change the rotation of your leg. This time you're going anti-clockwise. The top of your body is completely relaxed. Your quads are relaxed. This is a mobilizing, strengthening, and stretching exercise. And what you are strengthening is this little muscle inside of your butt on one side. So that's the only one that you should be feeling. It's a really, really small movement. And what you're moving is a very small part of your butt there. It's very intense. It's not an easy one. But whoever sees you doing it is not going to think that you're doing much, and that's fine. It's all about the intention. It's all about what's happening inside. You want your muscles to be compact. Hold the leg a second, and now we're going to lift and lower. Again, you don't have to lift and lower a lot. You just have to use the right muscles. Keep the tension. Your belt, you're pulling away with your feet. Straight away, as if somebody was pulling your leg away from you, from the foot. And with your arm, of course, you're pulling as well to keep the belt in tension. As you're doing this, you're lifting and lowering the leg. The leg on the bottom is stabilizing you, and the foot is bent. Now we're going to kick to the front of the mat. You can bend the bottom leg if you need to stabilize more, which I do. Keep your foot bent as well. And this is really tricky to keep the belt in tension for the whole time. But it just gives you another challenge, which is good. keeps you awake. You can't forget what you're doing, so you don't need to do as many reps. And now you're just going to bend the knee towards the back while keeping everything the same. Never collapse your waist. So be sure that your top body, your torso, is in neutral position and it isn't collapsed towards the front or towards the floor. Should be neutral. Now we're leaving both of the legs in the front, and we're going to do another set of the straight leg, lifting up and down, holding with the belt. Now that you've probably gotten the hang of this move, really pull away. Take advantage of the fact that your muscles are probably burning by now. So anything you do is going to be more effective because you've exhausted them. Now bend both of your knees in a loose fetal position in front of your body. Pull the belt under your top foot and just open and close, using the resistance from that belt to open your legs like a book. The movement is coming from your butt. There shouldn't be tension anywhere else in your body, apart from obviously your arm. And now lift your toes together away from the ground and open and close your knee. So again, you're opening your legs like a book, but with your toes touching, hovering from the ground. And now we're going to do the circles in this kind of the same position. It can be a little bit of a hassle for the belt at this point, so feel free to drop it. But I just want to show you how it is. So I am trying to use tension, and at the same time I'm doing an exercise for my scapulas. I'm using my scapulas, which are at the back of my body, at the back basically, to lift and lower the arm as I lift and lower the leg in circles. And once you do about 10 of these to each side, clockwise and anti-clockwise, we're going to release the belt, do a little stretch for that leg by putting your right ankle over your left knee. Turn around, stretch the front of your leg, your psoas muscle. Just keeps everything warm and flexible and soft. I do a half lotus here as well. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So we lie on our right side, put the loop of the belt over our left leg, hold the belt in tension, and we're starting circles clockwise with this top leg. Now for this side, my body, as you can see, is lower down. I am lying on the whole of that side. That just depends on how you feel. Sometimes I want to challenge myself more, or I'm more tired. You don't necessarily have to change it on each side. In fact, I recommend that you don't. But I decided to change it up here because I was just tired on that side or whatever. So I'm resting on my right hand in this one. And I am still using the whole of my body to keep stability of the position. Trying to keep it relaxed as much as possible, while obviously doing the exercise, which is starting from the inside of my buttocks. Change the rotation to anti-clockwise. Try to make yourself comfortable so that you're not feeling like there's any strain anywhere on your neck. Face forward. Don't face down. Don't collapse your neck to any direction. Just try to keep everything in neutral position. That's what's going to help you not to have injuries and not to have pain. So as we finish the rotations to that side, we're now going to start lifting and lowering the leg while pulling away from you, and that's what the belt is so great for. It allows you to keep a perfect posture in exercises like these ones where you could easily be collapsing, but because you need to keep the belt straight, you need to be pushing away. Push away. You can also point your foot while you're doing this. Now you're gonna kick to the front, keeping your leg straight, lengthened. You can bend the leg, the bottom leg, to help you keep stability basically. And there's a lot of pushing and pulling with your arm, with your leg. This is actually a really good exercise for your arm as well. Just be sure that the movement is starting from the back, from your scapula, so that you don't strain your rotator cuff. You need to be really gentle with your rotator cuff. And now we're going to do another set of lifting and lowering the straight leg, pulling towards the back of the room. Lift and lower. Try to get that movement to be as continuous, slow as possible. I don't want it to get fast when it's at the bottom, or I don't want to see any impulse. It should be exactly the same towards the top, towards the bottom. It doesn't need to be a big movement at all. This is super challenging for me, especially this side. And now bend both legs, fetal position like before, and lift and lower, separating your bent legs from each other. Still, the hoop of the belt is over your top foot. Neck is relaxed, ribs are pulled in, body is not collapsing towards the front. Neutral position. Lift your feet from the ground and open and close the knees. Movement is still coming from inside of the buttocks, from the hip joint. Now lower your feet and clockwise, circles with your knees bent. Using your arm too, keeping everything active. The part of your body that's resting on the floor is completely relaxed. And the other way around. Anti-clockwise, rotating movements, really opening that hip. Straighten your leg and bend the knee backwards, as if you were trying to kick your butt. As you bend the knee backwards, you contract. As you're straightening, you pull. And now you're just gonna release everything, lay in your back, release that muscle by resting the working leg on the other knee, kind of like a half lotus position. You can do it on the floor, you can do it lying down. Anything that allows you to release your butt muscle, and come straight down and up to downward dog. You will feel now that if you move from plank to downward dog, stretch your wrists by pulling your hands facing up, palms of your hands inwards and facing up. Because you've been using your wrists a lot while using the belt. Now use the belt to stretch forward. Just lie both of your lengthened legs on the mat. Curl yourself forward, contract your abs, bend your legs, straighten up completely. Another little stretch for your wrists, which I really like. is to place your palms, the palms of your hands, palm to sole of the foot. So you're walking on the palm of the hand, and that stretches your wrists really effectively. And just breathe, release. You've worked every part of your body. Feel how each one of your vertebrae is gaining space, flexibility, everything's warm. It's like molten lava in between every joint. There's no compression, there's no contraction. You're strong, but you're flexible. Now we need to do a stretch of the front of our leg. And for that, I love to do a lunge. So we're just doing a low lunge. Knee is on top of your ankle. And you should be feeling a really hard stretch at the front of your leg. You can even use the belt for this. So you loop your feet, one of your feet, and you pull, arms stretching backwards, using the belt to pull that foot towards your butt. Keep your torso lengthened to the ceiling. And keep still in whatever position allows the biggest stretch of the front of your body. And change legs, change the lunge to the other side. Grab the foot that's at the back, loop it in, and you'll feel that stretch at the top of the leg. Breathe into it and exhale. Imagine that you're exhaling the compression. Keep your gaze forward. If you need to come forward for an even better stretch like I do, I find stretching super important. Now we're going to stand on our mat, feet apart, well apart, and holding the belt at the back, stretch it as much as you can and fold forward. Not curling in, but folding from the waist, from the hips. And use that belt to really stretch and open your chest. Stretch your arms, your armpits, your forearms. Every part of your arms is being squeezed and stretched. So much space in your shoulders, your back, the sides of your body. Your obliques are stretching as you're doing these huge circles that lift you and lower you the whole time. You're using your back muscles, the ones in between your shoulders, in between your scapulas. Arms stretched clockwise and then anti-clockwise. Twisting your body when you reach your right side and coming up using your obliques. Twisting your body to the other side, doing a full circle and coming up. This is really great for your obliques, your abs, your back muscles that you are stretching towards your back. And now you're lifting and lowering your arms. Once again, just stretching those scapulas backwards, just opening your chest, bringing everything together before we do the last sequence, which is going to be on our front. So move everything you need to move before lying again on the floor. Just lift and lower, feel the newly created space on your shoulders, shoulder girdle, rotator cuff. Feel the stability on your feet. feel free to bend your knees a little bit. I always find that helpful, not to lock my knees. And now slowly you're going to go to a plank. Do a little bit of cat-cow just to stretch everything, stretch your abs, and come onto the floor. Push yourself upwards, stretch your arms as much as you can. If you need to do a quick child's pose, if you need to do a quick downward dog, I do this all the time between exercises if I need some movement, which I always need because I don't want to be static. And now you're going to come down to the front via a chaturanga, which is like a push-up. So just move to the front, back, plank, back, and come down to the floor. Now from the Sphinx position, we're going to stretch our arms backward, forehead on the floor. Grab your belt that's now on your back and stretching yourself away from yourself, lift your torso, lift your chest off the ground while really pulling back towards the back of the room with your arms, using your back, pushing your scapulas against each other, your back together. Lift everything off the ground, your torso. You're engaging your butt here, you're engaging the upper back, and you're pulsing upwards with your chest. And now you're going to bring your arms up almost over your head, as far away as you can, and lift them up and lower them down. This is just a few of our last stretches. We're stretching our shoulders, our arms. We're really strengthening our back here. This is the culmination of the back strength exercise. The top of our feet are pressing against the floor. We're using this as a stretch, as a strengthening. Our neck is in neutral position. We're gazing towards the floor in front of us. Feel free to also lift your head. And now bringing both arms to the front. Take a breath. And we're going to start lifting those arms that are now at the front of us. Lifting and lowering down. Lift them and lowering down. This is a way of doing swimming using the belt. And I actually really like this way because by having the belt in between your hands, you also have this tension where you're trying to pull the belt, kind of stretch the belt, make it longer. It's never gonna happen. It's just gonna keep you in tension. And that in itself, I find quite helpful to keep myself up, to really give you the intention to reach forward with your arms as you reach backwards with your legs. So you're trying to become taller this whole time. And now just use this moment to stretch. Put one hand over the other as you twist slightly to one side and to the other side. These last few minutes are for stretching. So feel free to go into a child's pose, do a few gut stretches, and when you're ready, lie the front of your body on the floor. Slip both of your feet inside your belt. The belt should be hip width apart. That's really important. And you're going to reach with your arms backwards towards the back of the room and grab your feet as you lift yourself upwards. So you're pulling with your arms, and with your feet you're pushing away to the back of the room, which is going to lift your chest. Lifting your chest away, contracting, compressing. Try to compress as little as possible, but unavoidably there's gonna be some compression. So just think of lengthening. Think of expanding your chest as you lift. So you're lifting your chest forward, you're lifting your feet, you're trying to pull away, you're trying to become larger, you're trying to expand. Think of expansive movements. And the last thing that I want you to do, because we've been pulling so much, there's gonna be a little bit of tension in our shoulders. So you wanna just release that. So just sit on your bum with your knees bent, feet on the floor, and curl under a little bit like before. Make sure that you can stay in that position without any weight on your arms. And now you're going to just rest your arms behind you, but not really putting any weight on them, because your arms right now are quite delicate. Your shoulders have been used a lot. They're probably quite tired. So I just want you to stretch them. I want you to stretch the shoulders, and I want you to stretch the wrists. Just rest them behind you and move using your abs backwards, forward. Look for that movement inside your shoulder, your rotator cuff. Don't put a lot of weight on them, just look for movement. And now lie back, relax, start lifting vertebra by vertebra. Do a little shoulder bridge like before, just to cancel out, neutralize all of the movements that we've been doing in the last few exercises. And you're done. I hope you enjoyed this introduction to the belt.